Call the Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
Mr Speaker, I thank the Minister for his contribution, and from the outset say that Labor will be supporting the bill. Obviously we want to see the detail, as is the norm, and we reserve our rights to examine that closely. But I do share with him the importance of patent protection. For those of us who've been in business in either large or small organisations, it is evident, and one of the biggest costs, and the Minister I'm sure would acknowledge this, to an innovative business with an innovative product is the ability to protect the intellectual capital and the intellectual property of that particular item. I recall talking with a patent attorney in Auckland last year very briefly, who made a case that one of the biggest contributions government could make would be to provide assistance in some way, shape or form, possibly resource, to assist companies to lock down that intellectual property. I think the bill its intentions, its aims and objectives will assist in terms of streamlining and making that more efficient, hopefully in reducing costs. If you look at it in its most very basic form, if you can't protect the intellectual property around, you can't afford to take out effective patents which are wide-ranging and global, which are extremely costly, then the truth is, whether you're a large company or a small company, somebody's going to eat your lunch. Somebody's going to steal that intellectual property, and for many innovators in New Zealand, there are a couple of emotions that occur. You want angel seed funding, but you don't want to give away the business. Or you don't want to tell anybody about the product because you're scared somebody will come along and replicate it, steal the idea. And there are those jurisdictions and large countries around the world which are pretty prolific, we would have to say, in identifying products and replicating those and rushing them back into market and effectively destroying the business of origin that actually came up with that idea or that product. This bill, sir, I commend the Minister for it. It will go some way to assisting those businesses, especially those businesses as our relationship with Australia, as the Minister has said, grows closer and closer, at least commercially. Ease of doing business, alignment of business rules and regulations. This is just another layer. We've done it in law, we've done it with banking, we've done it with accountancy. This is another layer where we can assist those businesses who are commercially operating with, if not our largest, but one of our largest trading partners. I think the bill has been widely consulted. I think I would be surprised if there wasn't a large degree of buy-in from the sector. However, I'm sure there are aspects of this bill where those who are submitting to the committee will be able to make some positive suggestions to improve it. I say to the Minister, this is a good effort. This is far more straightforward, sir, than his venturing into the world of cartels, where, as he sort of crawls under the desk, where we have some very interesting proposals around why we shouldn't be aligned with jurisdictions like Canada, like Australia, like the UK in terms of imprisonable offences for cartel behaviour. In this bill, the Minister makes a case and says we should be closer aligned with one of our biggest trading partners in terms of the regime around patents, and I agree with him. A few weeks ago, he was sliced apart by a guy at Esplanade and Morning Report trying to make a case for the reverse. And so I say to the Minister, we're not here to talk about that bill. That bit of fun and that bit of theatre will come later. But I say to the Minister, there is a little bit of inconsistency here. You know, tonight it's going to be consistent with Australia and our trading partners, but in terms of cartel behaviour where people's livelihoods can be seriously destroyed, not only those in business, but those impacted by that cartel behaviour, no, we don't want to line up with the UK, all that jurisprudence. We don't want to line up with Canada. We don't want to line up with the US. We don't want to line up with our Australian cousins.
However, we're talking about this bill.
Indeed, we're going to go out there as sort of frontiers men and women and strike our own way in the world and do something completely different. So I just take the opportunity, given your comments, sir, to sort of counsel the Minister that before the next bill gets to the House, he might want to have a bit of a rethink and somehow take some advice from the Whip or others and allow consistency of argument to actually win through, sir. So, in essence, as I say, we support this bill. It is, as the Minister said, I don't think it'll turn the lights on in the communities at home. It won't be front page news, but I agree with him that this is of critical importance to businesses if they want to protect their innovation. There is nothing worse than seeing the look on an entrepreneur's face when they've invested time, money, their own sweat into developing an idea and a product, to see that torn asunder and taken away by somebody who counterfeits it, or somebody who just simply gets there before that person, that entrepreneur could get it to market, because in many cases, in fact I'd argue with small business in most cases, they simply have not had the resources, because this is, or the expertise, because this is heavy duty law to take out patents in multiple jurisdictions. That requires a level of international legal skill that, to be fair, most business folk would not have. And the costs of doing that in varying jurisdictions are prohibitive. But to see the look on the face as that innovative product is basically stolen from under them. So I commend the government for this. I'll be interested in the various views that are put up before the Select Committee. There doesn't seem on the outset of this to be a lot of downside in it. I'd be very interested in what sort of costs are going to accrue or be passed on in the Trans-Tasman agency to those taking out patent protection. Be interested to know whether those costs would increase. Hopefully they'll decrease. Intuitively you'd think so. But I'm sure submitters and others who'll be interested in this piece of legislation will want to know at its essence whether this will facilitate easier and cheaper ways to gain patent protection for those products, for that intellectual property, for those innovative ideas. We are a country, sort of the old number 8 gauge wire country, sir. That's translated into the 21st century in being top quality world innovators. It is, you know, the globe is littered with New Zealanders who come up with the bright idea, the solution to problems that others with more money, more experts haven't been able to conquer. So I would support this bill, sir. We'll look at the detail of it. I think it's a very good piece of work by the new Minister of Commerce, and I just pray that in his other work, sir, with other pieces of legislation, i.e. cartels, that he still holds to that principle that we should line up with our trading partners. And I await with bated breath, sir, in anticipation to hear those arguments about incentive and disincentive in respect to imprisonable offences around cartels be played out in the same way, sir, that he was levelled by Radio New Zealand on Morning Report just before Christmas. So I commend the Minister for his good works, and we look forward to others that follow.
I call Melissa Lee.
Thank you, Mr.